Hi, y'all. Thank you for joining us today. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get going. If you haven't been in the building before, there's restrooms on either side of the atrium underneath the stairs. There's also a gender-neutral restroom. If you find the vending machines, follow the hallway back and then take a right. You'll see it there. And free lunch and salad. Please help yourself if you haven't already. It's all for you. Portland, Oregon lies within the traditional homelands of the Multnomah, Oregon City Tumwater, Huatlala, and Clackamas Chinooks, and the Tualatin Kalapuya peoples, who were relocated to the Grand Ronde Reservation under the Kalapuya etc. 1855 ratified treaty, also known as the Willamette Valley Treaty 1855. Today, these tribes are a part of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, and the Grand Ronde people continue to maintain a connection to their ancestral homelands and maintain their traditional cultural practices. I invite you all to spend time to engage with the Arrowhead Project, which is a permanent installation in our main hallway right out there. And it's comprised of commissioned works from 8 Indigenous artists of the Columbia bioregion and signals a response and commitment of our institution to center Indigenous voices and practices that have been in this place since time immemorial. My name is Hannah Bakken-Morris. I'm the Assistant Director for the Center for Contemporary Art and Culture here at PNCA, and I'm super excited to welcome Kaila Farrell-Smith here today to speak about her creative practice and her newest works, Ghosts in the Machine. Kaila Farrell-Smith is a contemporary Klamath Modoc visual artist, writer, and activist based in Modoc Point, Oregon. The conceptual framework of her practice focuses on channeling research through a creative flow of experimentation and artistic playfulness rooted in Indigenous aesthetics and abstract formalism. Utilizing painting with wild harvested pigments and stenciling, found metal detritus, her work explores space in between Indigenous and Western paradigms. Her work has been exhibited at Out of Sight, Museum of Northwest Art, Tacoma Art Museum in Washington, the Missoula Art Museum in Montana, and Medici Fortress, Cortona, Italy. And in Oregon, she has work in the permanent collection of the Schnitzer Museum of Art, Portland Art Museum, and the Portland Building. Her solo exhibition, Land Back, was on view in the Goudi'ni Native American Art Galleries at Cal Poly, Humboldt, and Arcata, California, spring of 2023. Her work was curated in the exhibition Inherent Memory at the IAIA Museum of Contemporary Native Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico, 2023. And Kaila's new work, Ghost in the Machine, was premiered at the Russo Lee Gallery in Portland, Oregon. Many West's Artist Shape and American Ideas at the Boise Art Museum, the Utah Museum of Fine Arts, Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art, the Whatcom Museum, and the Smithsonian American Art Museum through 2023. The Land Carries Our Ancestors, Contemporary Art by Native Americans is curated by Jean Quick-to-See Smith and will be on view at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. through 2023 and will travel to the New Britain Museum of Art in Connecticut through 2024. Farrell-Smith's new chapter, Ghostwriters Performing Fugitive Indigeneity, is featured in the new academic book called Decolonial Art Practice, Transnational Pedagogies and Activism, and is edited by Injong Yun Ramirez and Alejandra I. Ramirez. Kaila Farrell-Smith received a BFA in painting from Pacific Northwest College of Art and an MFA in contemporary art practices in studio from Portland State University. Farrell-Smith is a 2021 Hallie Ford Fellow and a 2019 to 2020 Fields Artist Fellow with the Oregon Humanities. In addition to the academic training, Kaila mentored in traditional basket weaving with Pat Courtney Gold, Wasco Klingit, and traditional carving with Sharad Yonker Kuz Kokil. And with that, I will hand this off to Kaila.
Waklisi, Gaussasas Kaila, Nua Uksini, Nua Modocni. Hello, everybody. My name is Farrell-Smith, and I'm a member of the enrolled member of the Klamath tribe, so descendant of the Klamath Modoc and a Yahuskin band of Paiutes. So it's great to be here today. There's just a lot flooding back into my memories. I'm coming back to Portland. This is my alma mater when we were at the other building, so it's just really nice to be here, and thank you all for showing up in person. So I have a clicker. So yeah, I have a lot of slides. So I'm gonna try to get through this. I have a lot to talk about. I haven't done an artist talk in a long time, at least here in Portland. So yeah, today we're definitely gonna be talking about my new work, which is called Ghosts in the Machine. And there's a lot of layers into that title, so I'm just gonna kind of just dive in and just read my artist statement. We're also going to discuss Farrell-Smith versus the Oregon Department of Justice. I'm currently the lead plaintiff suing the state of Oregon for illegally surveilling me for resisting a pipeline. We're going to talk about Land Back and Ghost Rider, which is my previous work from 2019 to 2021. And yeah, thanks, Hannah, for mentioning that. I do want to read some excerpts from my chapter because that's a lot of people don't, I think a lot of people don't understand that I do a lot of writing and research, and that's really important to be able to understand the visual work. I also just got back from lobbying Washington, D.C., so I'm going to be discussing the land, and then I'm going to be getting into, I spent the last 3 years supporting the Paiutes, Northern Paiutes, Western Shoshones, and the Bannock peoples who are resisting lithium mining. So I really, and that the lithium mining is also really a part of the Ghost in the Machine work that I've created as well. And through all of that, we're going to kind of discuss the concept of green colonialism. All right, so Ghost in the Machine, this is 001. And so I basically treated this series, well, for me, this is a black and white series. So this is, I use a lot of color previously, so this was a big deal for me to just kind of work within a grayscales. So Ghost in the Machine is a visual matrix of grayscales layering wild harvested lithium topsoil, metal detritus stencils found at Modoc Point Studio Ranch, acrylic and aerosol paints, and the found metal detritus stencils visually represent machinery, grids, bots, and perhaps unidentified flying objects. And yes, I'm a tribal member, and I do work and reside in my ancestral homelands at Modoc Point Studio. So just about 7 miles south of our casino in Chiloquin. So on the way, like I live on the upper Klamath Lakes, 40 minutes south of Crater Lake. All right, this one is 020. So it's a series of, I'm just gonna read the statement. I wrote it all out. Ghost in the Machine 2022 through 2023 is a series of 21 paintings is a study in grayscales featuring the wild harvested northern Paiute lithium topsoil collected during my travels through northern Nevada and southern Oregon in the past 3 years. This work is my response to the burgeoning, I don't know, I haven't spoken out, read this out loud. To the burgeoning global AI technocratic state that is threatening human freedom through the violent extraction of rare earth minerals like lithium from sacred and tribal spiritual grounds for the sole benefit of Western electric elitism. This work, as mentioned, is still on view at the Russo Lee Gallery. And photographs, all the photographs were by Mario Gallucci, so thank you. The title of the exhibition is a direct visual response to the U.S. Army recruitment video of the same name. So it's alluding to the reality that we are being tracked, traced, and databased by the U.S. military industrial complex via these transnational corporations like Google, Amazon, etc., which they state in the video is an ongoing cyber or psychological warfare. So specifically, I am, like mentioned, I am dealing with this. I've dealt with this through stopping the Jordan Cove energy projects. And yeah, so during my active resistance, so that was like 2016 to 2020 to the Jordan Cove energy projects, I directly experienced like censorship, spying, and technological interference on my personal devices and social media apps. Jordan Cove is a subsidiary of Pembina, a Canadian corporation, which would have transported liquid natural gas, or LNG, across 500 waterways in southern Oregon to an export terminal in Coos Bay to sell to foreign markets. And I'm currently a plaintiff, or the lead plaintiff, suing the State of Oregon Department of Justice, and specifically the Titan Fusion Center, for illegally spying on me and violating my First Amendment rights to resist a major environmental and cultural threat to my ancestral homelands and clean waterways. So just to speak to this a little bit more, and I guess I have to cite my history. So my father is Al Smith, the late Al Smith. He passed in 2014 at the age of 95. But Al Smith was the plaintiff suing the state of Oregon as well over freedom of religion. So it's a very infamous case, I guess I would say, but also famous case. The end result was not good for Americans. They took away, the Supreme Court did not give Al Smith the freedom of religion to go to Native American church. The Native American church actually fought back, so what ended up passing was the amendment to the Native American Freedom of Religion Act in 1994, which actually grants and gives Native Americans, they can practice their ceremonies and cultures and transport and harvest peyote. Is specifically about the peyote court case. So I was 7 years old when I went to Washington, D.C. with my father, and Stanley Smart. So I grew up going out to McDermott, the Fort McDermott reservation and area, and we're going to get to a lot of maps and stuff like that. But just I want people to know why I've been going. I was really drawn spiritually by the land to be going back out to Nevada and out to that Fort McDermott reservation, because I used to go out there with my dad for Sundance ceremonies and also the Native American church ceremonies. So Stanley Smart was the spiritual leader, and he came to DC with us. My dad's court case was that important to them, to these people, to the Paiute, Northern Paiutes, Western Shoshone and Bannock peoples. And so when I realized what was happening with the lithium mines, I started going out there. So I've been going out there and supporting them. So, but historically, I am now actually, it's very, very, my mom went through the court case, and it's really, really similar to my dad's court case. So again, it's a First Amendment right, so freedom of speech, and the state of Oregon can't illegally spy on us for our religions, for our political beliefs, and fighting Jordan Cove. So we won. We actually stopped that pipeline, which was really a big deal. Yeah, let's clap. That's good. Well, let's see. What's my next slide? Yes. Okay. See, I already wrote all this out. Since successfully stopping Jordan Cove energy projects, I have been supporting the tribal communities and elders of the Northern Paiute, Western Shoshone, and Bannock peoples who are actively resisting multiple proposed foreign lithium mines surrounding the Fort McDermott reservation on the Oregon and Nevada border. So the corporations create narratives that green mining is good for the environment without revealing the truth about sacrifice zones and man camps. And so that's what they call these communities. They call them sacrifice zones. And fighting pipelines, anything with these mines, a massive amount of men, come in, and they're not from that community. So the corporations always sell you on, that, it's a poor area, it's rural, there's going to be jobs for these people. Excuse me, I'm going to get some water. So, but what comes along with these well-paid jobs is they create temporary man camps, and this is a tick. This goes up in abuse of tribal peoples. Let's just say that. So, but specifically, this is where that missing and murdered Indigenous women threat comes from, and we'll see some of that in my other work. So there's 21 paintings. I basically painted the same painting over and over again, like a monotype series. I love printmaking, so I do a lot of printmaking. So I kind of treated this series they're paintings, but I used that lithium, the topsoil, and mixed it in with acrylic gel mediums and just layered these paintings. So these are some of the little ones. I actually ended up getting a new puppy, and I feel like I was just painting a little picture of my new dog, kind of, through these, but they kind of look like robots as well. Really, what was great, so this woman, Friedrich Huer, went and saw my show and actually wrote this really, really great piece called, well, on her website, it's called green colonialism. So this term is getting coined right now, and I think it's really important that we like flesh this out and talk about it. So anyways, they spelled my name wrong in the website. It's F-A-R-R, not F-E-R-R. But anyways, please go check this out because she did a really, really good job at covering the conundrum that we're stuck in here with this, because everybody wants electric vehicles, electric everything, and they're selling us on this narrative that that's going to be it's going to save the world, but it's not. This mining is dirty. It's horror. This is really, really bad, and it's messed up people all around the world, specifically in South America and in Africa. So we're talking about like they want to mine the global South. That's why I talk about it for Western electric elitism. So that's kind of why I wrote about that in my artist statement. Okay, so that's Ghost in the Machine. So the series I did before that is Land Back, and this is a series of 27 paintings. I just threw this one on there because I know that it was used for the social media, so I wanted to talk about it. So you can see at the top there, it has the text LNG in the white kind of crossed out. And this piece is about that threat of man camp. So at the time, I was resisting a pipeline that would have been 230 miles from Malin, Oregon, which is really close to where I live, to Coos Bay. So we're talking like 500 of like this massive clean drinking water, like clean water that I come from, like the springs, like water bubbles up and I can just drink it right out of the, that's usually what I'm drinking. So that threat was insane to me. I was like, we can't put a pipeline under the Rogue River, under the Klamath River, under the Umpqua River. Like, this is crazy. And I feel the same way with this lithium mining. It's like this level of insanity of just settler colonialism, of resource extraction, just tearing up the land. I'm getting emotional. So anyways, that's what all those paintings are about. You can see I was using a lot of bright colors. Along with creating that work, I was working on my chapter. So I was invited to write a chapter for a book called Decolonial Arts Praxis. This name has changed multiple times. What is it now? Transnational Pedagogies and Activism. So I used to teach at Portland State, and I was doing lots of kind of this academic work. So when I left Portland 5 years ago now, to finish, to fight Jordan Cove, to fight that pipeline. It felt like people here especially in Portland and like Eugene, just were not, like, I don't know, they weren't understanding the threat of that pipeline. And yeah, so I relocated my entire art practice. I left the city, and actually this is what my chapter is about. So performing fugitive indigeneity, I felt like I'm a fugitive in my own homelands, right? So what is this concept? And so I was kind of fleshing that out. And so I'm gonna read part of this to you because I feel like it's really important. Okay, give me 1 second. I pulled it up on my phone. Let's see here. So I'm just going to read some of this. It's actually pretty long, but I'm chapter 3 in this book, so I feel like I got a good spot. In December of 2019, I did an interview with Oregon Arts Watch for their Vision 2020 series. The first question was, what should Oregonians know about the Modoc? What is the story we need to hear? I sat with the question thinking about how I wanted to frame my answer, offering an honest perspective to the readership. Working on this interview, launched my research into the ghost dance of the late 1800s, connecting the Iron Horse and Manifest Destiny, as well as the lynching of the Modoc war leaders and the creation of the U.S. torture program in 2003. In this essay, I will continue exploring these topics, my studio practice, and my land back painting series, which was from 2019 to 2021. So this is what I want to discuss. This is a really important point, especially with what we're witnessing globally right now, what's going on. The words torture, the words terrorist, they all come back legally to this. And this was really hard for me to do this research. It was really hard for me. I couldn't finish those paintings without finishing this chapter. This is all during the pandemic, so like lockdowns. There was not a lot of human contact. I relocated to like a very rural life where I live. I live on like 18. It's like an 18-acre studio ranch. I started doing these artist residencies, right, and then I realized I don't really like the city, so I moved. But getting through this, I'm just going to read this. So the Modoc war lynching and the 2003 U.S. torture program. So growing up, I remember listening to my father talk about the Modoc War and our ancestors who are 1864 Klamath Treaty signers. So he told us stories about his grandma, Emma Ball, who was brought to Fort Klamath when she was 9 years old and forced to watch the U.S. government hang 4 of the Modoc war leaders. Within my research and analysis of these traumatic events on our familial psyches, I came across a very disturbing connection between the legal citation of the lynching of the Modoc war leaders and the United States approving torture of prisoners of war at Guantanamo Bay and Abu Ghraib during the Bush administration. In the book, An Indigenous People's History of the United States, Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz, 2014, outlines, I'll just put this up because that's what I'm reading. Okay, excuse me. Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz, 2014, outlines the creation of the U.S. military-industrial complex as an Indian killer campaign, a framework used to create U.S. Foreign scorched earth policies, endless regime change wars, genocide, and violent resource extraction. According to Dunbar Ortiz, the legal category of homo sacer was used to brutally murder the Modoc people legally. And I've actually I went to there were some judges in Klamath Falls that came to the Klamath County Museum and were talking about this. And it turns out if the Modoc war leaders had lawyers, they would have gotten off. Like resisting. This is what I'm saying. Like what I'm writing about is happening right now in the Middle East. Like resisting occupation. And so, anyways, I just wanted to. I guess I'll have to update my chapter. So yeah, it's this. And it all goes back to this like homo sacer. It's like this cat. It's like Christian stuff. I don't know. It goes all the way back to this papal rule. So a homo sacer in Roman law is a person banned from society, excluded from its legal protections, but still subject to the sovereign's power. Under the category of homo sacer, any person who was defined as Indian could be killed legally. Jody Beard also analyzes how this line of thinking is present in current times through an example of John C. Yu's infamous torture memos in 2002, in which he argued that tortures could be allowed for the interrogation of enemies in overseas areas during the George W. Bush administration. According to Beard, Yu cited the 1865 military commissions and the 1873, the Modoc Indian prisoners' legal opinions to justify tortures and murders of the humans during the War on Terror. This analysis reminds us in what ways citizens of American Indian nations become, in this moment, the origin of the stateless, terrorist combatant within the U.S. enunciations of sovereignty. So once I kind of was doing that research and I read that, I was like, holy shit, like this is really heavy. And so the work is, it's well, let's see. I have more. Yeah, so I made this painting, like I wasn't able to kind of get through this until I was completing that research and finishing it. So a part of the Land Back series is this painting called Torture State. So kind of using that iconic orange jumper with just the black hood over the face, like this mask, this. Okay, so anyways, I wrote a lot in this whole chapter. So the book's coming out. I'm here to implore institutions and universities to please buy it because it is very expensive. There's like $170 per book. They're on sale right now. Oh, excuse me, this book. So anyways, I think this is really important. And like, when do we hold the settler colonizers accountable? Like, what? I don't know. This is like kind of where my work is at and questioning this. So, okay, so those are the, I'll talk about one of the paintings. So that's kind of where I was at. I was also living through wildfires, as we all have been for many years. The fires have just gotten worse and worse. I'm literally at the point now, I'm like, I don't know if this is like state sanctioned arson or like what's going on. But off the ground, so this piece, it was purchased by the Portland Art Museum. So this is a part of the permanent collection through the Native American art part of the Portland Art Museum. So, but it was created as part of the Land Back series. This piece is a response to living on the front lines of wildfires in the Pacific Northwest over the last 5 years. I spent my birthday at Medicine Lake, which is sacred to the Modocs in Northern California. And I was sitting there at the lake. It's my favorite places to be in the world. And the skies turned black. Thunder and lightning like lit the skies and then literally into the dense forests. I kind of fled back onto the Oregon side, and like I looked up and I literally saw this like thunderbird shadow like emerging from the dark clouds, and like the fire were starting all around that area. And so I made this painting and I called it Off the Ground. It's my favorite piece out of the whole series, so I was excited that the Portland Art Museum wanted to purchase it. So the whole show is up at the Portland Art Museum in an exhibition called Mesh, which is curated by Kathleen Ash Milby. And this was the wall text for my work. So the Mesh was cool. It was they picked 4 of us artists, and we had all been a part of the mentorship program through the Native Art and Culture Foundation. So I was mentoring with Sherrod Yonker, who I think has a piece, out here. And I'd worked with Sherrod for many years at his art camp for youth. So I mentored, it was 15 to 19-year-old natives. And so that was the first time I started basket weaving and carving and doing like traditional native arts, because I was raised and taught in this like Western fine art world. And so that was really exciting. So they picked me, Lynette Houses, who did this big mural, actually like right behind where this picture is taken. And then Lehuahua Kea, Hawaiian artist. So she has her kapa, her beautiful pieces. I think was Lehuahua Kea. I think she's from here, or graduated from here as well. And the photographer, Leah Rose Kolakowski, and she came on a Signal Fire trip with me, actually, so I had met her. I used to lead Signal Fire trips and take Native artists out on backpacking trips, and so I had already met Leah Rose through that. So they picked 4 of us. I thought it was a really beautiful exhibition, and it was really exciting because we got to be on the 4th floor of the Mark Building at the Portland Art Museum instead of the little closet thing they used to shove all the Native artists into that a lot of us didn't want to show our art in. So it was very cool. So the text says climate justice shows up in my work through scrawled text and a volatile energy in the mark making that reflects the violence on the land and on Indigenous bodies. So there is that energy, there is a violence that's in my work that I just like to acknowledge and express. Like for me, I paint for myself. It's a healing process, like to kind of to process what we go through and what I'm researching, and like, I kind of, it's heavy, it's heavy. It's a heavy world. It's a heavy place to exist in. But then really cool things happen like this. So this is, I don't know, I feel like this is like, we're kind of in like a Renaissance time or something, especially within contemporary Native art. And so it's really great to be included in this. I just went and saw this, like, I think it's been like 2 weeks, I think, maybe. I was just there. So these are just like pictures from my phone. Sorry, I don't know if they look that good up there. But I'll just read this. So this is at the National Gallery of Art in DC. It's up through January 15th. So it's curated by John Quick-to-See Smith, Confederated Salish and Kootenai Nation. This exhibition brings together works by an intergenerational group of nearly 50 living Native artists. Unfortunately, 2 has passed since this was curated. So Gail Tremblay and, I love his paintings. The little chicken paparazzis. Jim Denemy have passed. So I do want to I acknowledge them because, these amazing artists. It's like it's amazing to like be a student and then actually get to like be in exhibitions with the people you've looked up to and have influenced you for so many years. So it was really, really powerful to see this whole show, actually. So 50 living Native artists practicing across the United States. Their powerful expressions reflect the diversity of Native American, individual, regional, and cultural identities. At the same time, these works share a worldview informed by thousands of years of reverence, study, and concern for the land. So yeah, this is cool. This is she said that she did this checkerboard, how she installed all the prints, and a lot of these prints are all from Crow Shadow. So I thought that was really cool. So if anybody, Crow Shadow is this really cool printmaking studio in Umatilla, Oregon, and so I got to go and I made a monoprint, which Vanessa has. We traded. I got one of Vanessa's Renix lithographs, and yeah, we both did that residency that year. But she said that she did this checkerboard to reflect the Dawes Act. So when settlers came into reservations to buy up land, it kind of made a checkerboard through the land of how we connect. So there's lots of these, if you look through the history of the United States, so John she's really brilliant. I was just gonna say, her curatorial skills in this exhibition, I was really proud to be like, that's my print. And I had some kids take my picture in front of it, which didn't turn out very good, so I didn't put it in. This is just a close-up, but this is my piece that she selected. So we just got emails from the National Gallery of Art that's Jean is curating the show. She already picked the print, and so there's a really cool book that came along with it. I do want to get talking about lithium mining though here at some point. But anyways, this is a lithograph. So this is actually, this was my main talking point, lobbying in DC. So I was talking about being a professor, teacher to the students with Schrod's camp. And we used to take out students to these petroglyphs, out in Eastern Oregon. And this one specifically that I cited, it kind of looks like a map, right? And it's from Heart Mountain. And it predates the Mount Mazama eruption, which was 7,700 years ago, which created Crater Lake. So that's how old these are. And that's kind of what I was testifying to from a cultural art and cultural practice, that we have the oldest, remains of who we are as human beings in at least North America, in this whole region. So we're talking Southeast Oregon, Northern Nevada, Idaho. Yeah, so this is my thing that was on the wall at the National Gallery of Art. So created at Crow Shadow Institute of the Arts in Umatilla, Oregon, this monoprint refers to a large abstract petroglyph located at Heart Mountain in southern Oregon. The glyph predates the massive volcanic eruption that blasted Mount Mazama, which created Crater Lake. Heart Mountain is a sacred place of my ancestors, the Klamath, Modoc, and Northern Paiute peoples. They hunted, gathered, and lived off the land and the large lakes that make up this high desert landscape, and they also created this glyph image. And I've had multiple experiences at Heart Mountain visiting the glyphs, herds of antelope, and the sage grouse families, and soaking in the Medicine Hot Springs. So that's this print. I was proud to see it in DC at the National Gallery of Art. It was good. And then I also have a piece at the Smithsonian American Art Museum in this exhibition that's been traveling for the past 3 years. Many West's Artist Shape an American Idea. And this was cool. Yeah, so this was this is the Smithsonian. There's a Marie Watt sculpture, James Lavador. So yeah, this show, I saw that the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art. So the painting enrollment is, okay, I'll just read it. I made these slides for a reason. Okay, I painted this androgynous figure wrapped in a Hudson Bay point blanket after, is that the crackle? Okay. After I received my tribal enrollment number as a citizen of the Klamath tribes, citing indigenous aesthetics as influential, I make work that honors ancestral lineage. Enrollment's a painting that visually explores the complexities of tribal enrollment rules like blood quantum and the trendiness of Hudson Bay Company's wool blankets that were historically used to spread smallpox disease to indigenous communities. And it navigates contested terrains that inform contemporary indigenous identity. So this was one of my thesis paintings, actually. That was, so it's from 2014. And yeah, so it was really cool. I got the flu Rona or COVID or whatever. I was supposed to be in DC for the opening, but I was knocked out. I couldn't travel. And I think it was meant to be that I went back with people of Red Mountain, Atsa Kuraku Wainuu. And we were lobbying our senators and representatives, and I actually had a lot of fun. It was a crazy time to be in DC, but it was great. We were two teams, Team Sage Grouse and Team Pronghorn. I was on Team Pronghorn. So it was me and Wilson, he's the tall guy, and we kind of represented Oregon. So he's a Warm Springs tribal member, but he's Northern Paiute, and so we talked to Merkley and Wyden and a bunch of their staffers, and yeah, we spent 3 days lobbying. So, and then Myron Smart is Stanley Smart's son. So I mentioned earlier that Stanley came to DC with my family. I was 7, and so I have these memories of like being, you know, in the Supreme Court in the National Mall, and so I think it was really powerful that, and Myron, I mean, he's from Fort McDermott Reservation. He's he carries on his father's medicine, so he runs the Sundance and does the Native American church ceremonies, and so it was really cool that we all got to go there, and we were kind of like a clique, a crew, family, like running around doing the lobbying thing. And then Gary came, so Gary McKinney is from Duck Valley. And now I'm gonna start talking about what we were actually there doing. So Owyhee Canyonlands. So this is the southeastern corner of Oregon. You can see Boise, and so there's Idaho, and then there's northern Nevada. So this is where I wanted the laser. I'll just show you. All right, so this is Fort McDermott Indian Reservation. That's Duck Valley, so Myron's from here, Gary's from there. They're all related. So this is the Owyhee River, and you can kind of see where Boise is. Sorry, I know there's a YouTube channel going on. I'll keep this. Oh, I can take it off. It's fine. So yeah, on the Idaho side, it's already protected wilderness. This is a massive river that flows from the Snake River and before the dams, so up there around that number 2, the 3A, 3B, 3C, the number 2 area, there's dams up there. And I did a flyover actually. So I went to Ontario and flew over in an airplane and got to see this for the first time like maybe a month ago. And it's epic, it's super gorgeous. But salmon used to, you know, come up this river, and we're in Nevada. And like a lot of people don't know that there used to be salmon in Nevada. So that's like I just want like people to understand, this isn't a sacrifice zone. This isn't just empty land. Because I heard the lobbyists, I heard the politicians. This is how they talk about it. I went to DC, belly of the beast. It's super disgusting. And so we were there like, no, like we are ancient people that have been here for a really long time. So what the proposal, this is Ron Wyden's bill to protect 1.1 million acres of Owyhee Canyonlands with wilderness protection, which is great. We were like, do it. This bill's been sitting around for 5 years. Just make it happen. Because once it's wilderness, it cannot be mined. There's lithium all throughout this area. What you can see down there is in the yellow is the McDermott caldera. This is the largest lithium deposit in the world. Oregon has no idea what's coming. These are massive open pit lithium mines. I'm about to get into it, but we could just, like, we were there, like, pass the bill. Like, yes, great, Ron Wyden already has it. All the ranchers, all the tribes, they've all been consulted. Everybody's like ready to do this. I don't know what's happening. I don't understand how the politics and how things get held up, but basically we were there to say either, yes, pass this bill, or if not, we want a parallel path to transform this entire landscape into a national monument by the end of the 118th Congress. So it's like 2 paths, either do the wilderness bill or make it a national monument. The thing with the wilderness bill is that 1A and 1B is negotiated. They're sacred sites to the Burns Paiute tribes. These are like, I'm talking origin stories, like this is where, you know, their people come from. The Steens Mountain, these are really, really sacred places to the people. And that 1A and 1B with the wilderness bill is a land back to the Burns Paiute tribe. So that's kind of the benefit of the wilderness bill. All right, I have like 25 more slides. I'm not gonna get through it all, but I do want to just kind of give you a sense. I basically smashed together like an artist talk with my Protect McDermott Caldera talk. So this is where I've been spending the last 3 years, and I really want to thank Hannah Buchan-Morris for creating this design, the Protect McDermott Caldera. Yeah, we're super excited. We're gonna get t-shirts, stickers. I didn't bring a lot of this stuff, but I'm just gonna have Shanda send it to you, and then we can, once we get stickers, we'll put them out on the tables. So if you all wanna like rep this, please, this is the goal, is because I don't know how to fight the 1872 mining law. Let's just say that. This is what it all comes back to. And so yeah, this is where I've been, this is right outside of Fort McDermott. This is Disaster Peak. I've been spending a lot of time with the elders, and these elders, these Paiute women, like, are still out there, like, hunting elk. Like, this is sacred ground. They have one cedar tree at Fort McDermott. That's where they get all their cedar for ceremonies. I was saying, I want to go find that cedar tree, and we should just create the whole campaign around, like, protecting it. But unfortunately, this is right in the middle of all of the mining claims. I do want to honor people of Red Mountain, so I do want to play this video. I may not play the whole thing. This song came to Myron like in a vision, which is how songs come to, and it is the Pihimaha song. So when we say Pihimaha in Paiute, that means rotten moon. So, and what is this is specific to is this whole area was a massacre in 1865 by the US government. They massacred these northern Paiute, Western Shoshone and Bannock people, women, children. I think the story is that the men came back from a hunting party and found their people dead, like with their intestines spread out along the sagebrush. And it was this full moon, so they call it rotten moon. And so for the past 3 years, we've been working to protect this place as a burial site, like as a historical site. We're not winning. The courts are not siding with the Paiute people. I was down in LA for the court hearings. These courts are siding with the 1872 mining law. So I just want to play some of this song so you can hear the voices from this land. Okay, just for this, that goes on for a while, so I just wanted to share that with you. It's a really beautiful song. We call it the Pihimaha song, so we sing that. And I literally just was in my sweatpants and got out of the tent. I didn't realize that Dallas's mom was filming us. I didn't know we were getting filmed, but I thought it was really beautiful that we do have that video, so I could share that with the folks. So like within Native Indigenous communities and spiritual ways, we have some songs that are meant to be shared, and there's songs for different things. So I just wanted to honor the people. I'm not going to be able to get through with all of this. I can keep talking, but I do. Next one. I just want to get through and just kind of show you a few maps. I know we have just a little bit of time left. So Atsa Kudaku Wainuwu, people of Red Mountain, are a group of Fort McDermott tribal descendants that deeply oppose the lithium mines threatening their homelands. Atsa Kudaku Wainuwu continue to practice traditions, language, hunting and gathering of first foods, medicines, and materials, and enjoy teaching the generations now in hopes of them teaching the future Nuwu or Numu people. For many Native people, our ceremonies, teachings, culture, and life path are connected to the land. So by protecting the land, we protect the people. Pihima has sacred burial sites, which we must keep intact of utmost respect, and we prohibit the desecration of our sacred burial sites. Unfortunately, at this time, that is already happening. They've already begun digging at Thacker Pass. So again, we're zooming in. I showed you that big map of the 1.1 million acres. Let's get that protected, because with wilderness or national monument, they can't drill, they can't mine. But unfortunately, Thacker Pass during COVID, like I said, they sent 3 letters to 3 different tribes. One of them was Fort McDermott, the other was Reno Sparks Indian Colony, and I think the other one was Summit Lake. But Burns Paiute tribe in Oregon did sign on, and they were, like I said, we were dealing with court cases about this. And so what the court, so it comes down to the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, UNDRIP, and I don't know if the United Nations has any power, but we've been citing it. It's been working for some Indigenous people, like island people. I know in Canada, this just was upheld. Unfortunately, like I said, it all comes back to the 1872 mining law. So anybody that takes a claim and says, I want some of that, whatever, gold, lithium, copper, whatever everything needs to make these things that we all carry around and it surveils us all the time. They need, like the Bureau of Land Management has to let this mine happen. So that's kind of where we're at. So I don't know. Basically with the UNDRIP though is that these companies have to get consultation, they have to get consent from Indigenous people. So what happens is that the companies send out letters during COVID when everybody's sick, nobody's working in the tribal offices. 3, like I said, 3, there's so many tribes around in this area that need to be consulted, that consider this area sacred grounds. They didn't respond. Like if we don't make public comments, this is what I was hearing from the company's lawyers. This is what they were saying. Well, we had a public comment period. Nobody responded, so the people don't care about the land. So if we don't participate in doing public comments or going to lobby, then they hold it against us. So that's kind of like we have to be actively engaged. I was a grassroots organizer for 20 years, so I know about what it takes to win these kind of campaigns. That's how we won Jordan Cove. This is a totally different beast, though. So the mining stuff. So this is Sentinel Rock. This is I see the face in it. It looks like the profile of the Numu people, the Paiute people. So this is where we hold. I've actually been the spokesperson and the moderator for this event for the past 2 years. So it's the event of the commemoration of this massacre that happened here, and it's green colonialism. So basically, we're fighting. Where is my mapping? My mind map. I'll read this through this. So despite lithium, Nevada's. So basically, I should have put the other map in first. There's all these different companies. It's transnational corporations. So different companies, like from Canada, let's say, they put a claim. And then on the Oregon side is the Jindalee, is an Australian company. So we're fighting all these different companies. It's like how we've been fighting pipelines, little pipelines, and then anyway. So so we're always caught up fighting these little projects. But really, I wanted to show you the larger thing. That's why we went to DC to lobbies. Like, hey, let's protect these places and give them wilderness or give them monument. So the one that's breaking ground is Lithium Nevada. So despite Lithium Nevada's characterization of the mine as green, the company estimates that it'll produce 152,703 tons of carbon dioxide emissions every year. The water, air, land, wildlife, plants, and everything in between will all pay the ultimate price for lithium-powered batteries for electric vehicles and so-called clean energy. Lithium Nevada wants to turn Thacker Pass into a toxic wasteland by contamination of water, air, irreparable damage to the land, and culturally important animals, medicines, and first foods, ultimately guilty of cultural genocide to the Paiute and Shoshone people. This is a statement written by people of Red Mountain, so I'm here I have now taken on the role as being a spokesperson for them, especially here in Oregon. We've been fighting this in Nevada. It's a different beast. Nevada is a mining state, and it's a good old boy state. we've had successes, winning here in Oregon. That's why I'm here. That's why I've been going out there, because we need to bring this message, especially to people in Portland and Eugene and these liberal places where a lot of this is being pushed. This is where the narratives are being pushed about clean energy, green energy, electric vehicles, all this stuff. That electricity comes from somewhere, you know what I mean? So we have to understand this and think in a bigger picture. Like I mentioned, since the title of my show, I think I'm getting coined with this term, green colonialism. So I like it and I want to use it because that's what I think it is. It's not just happening in Nevada. This is happening, where are all these rare earth minerals? They're in Africa, they're in South America. In South America, these companies have already gone through and plundered the white gold and the native people get left with nothing. In McDermott, unfortunately, that tribal council is, and chairperson is for this mine. So, and they built them like a tribal gym or something, it's so messed up what happens. These companies come in and just what they're going to do to the land, and then some of the tribal council people sell out and they take it. So, it's really unfortunate. This stuff divides communities. So this is that whole area, like I was saying, these are all the mine claims. So the one down here at the bottom, the Thacker Pass, is where I just talked about. They're already digging there. So we lost in the courts. All the courts sided with the corporation and agreed that those 3 letters they sent was sufficient consultation with all of these tribes. And so they're already breaking ground. It's a very demoralizing time. Everybody that's been putting this work in to protect Pihimaha or to protect Thacker Pass, it's been rough. It was really hard. It was very demoralizing. But like I said, we have to see this larger picture. It's not just Thacker Pass. It's all of it. Those are all claims. And we had to get a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, to be able to find out where all the claims are. So the one on the Oregon side is the Goudi'ni. I don't really need to read all of this, but they're already proposing. They've put their claims in it. And Oregon, this is the one that we want to get ahead of and stop. Okay, so I've been doing lots of work getting public comments. There was a public comment period for every single one of those corporations and claims. We're going to have a public comment period, and a lot of them are on the Oregon side. So I want everybody to understand that this is going to be a long. We're in a war. Standing Rock, was a battle. Jordan Cove is a battle. These are battles that we have to fight. And if we don't speak up and say something, they're just going to mine it all. And so Oregon needs to be prepared for what a 400-foot open pit lithium mine is. Look it up. Go look on Google. What is a lithium mine? This is going to completely pollute the groundwater. The Owyhee River. Where is this water going to come from to produce all of this lithium mine? So I just want folks to kind of, this is it, Goudi'ni. This is me and my partner, Cale Christie, who he's been working for People of Red Mountain. He works on their website. We took this photograph a couple winters ago, but that's it. That's the Goudi'ni site on the Oregon side of Disaster Peak. And yeah, there's massive impacts of mining. There's sage grouse, the trout, Lahontan trout, is endemic to this area, meaning it only lives there, this specific trout. Sage grouse, this is ancient sagebrush areas. And again, these people want to call these sacrifice zones, but it's not, so sorry, my PowerPoint, I had really cool looking slides and I don't know what happened. So yeah, this is those ceremonies that we've been going to. And I'm just going to play Gary here because he came to DC with us. And this is a voice from that area. And then I'll just end it with this video. And if people want to ask any questions, we can move to that. How do you press play?
At this point, with desecration of land, we have a number of things out here. We have petrified wood back there. We have, these mountains up here with caves and, we have the medicine that's growing from the roots out here, and we're protecting it the best way that we can because we still understand what it's like to be a human, and we still care for our land, we still care for the animals that live on the land, and we still respect that. If we didn't, we wouldn't offer tobacco every time we took something from the land, but that's just the way things are with us, and we respect things like that, and we can't expect everybody to understand that, but we can at least, talk to them so that we're not remaining idle anymore, because we can't be phased out of this. We can't be phased out at all. We predate America, and that's the truth. I'm sticking by it. I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to be in solidarity with my Indian brothers and sisters out there, and any of my other community members, and, of other races. Out here, Camp Pahimaha, everybody's welcome. We all share that good feeling, and that's also something we're looking to preserve and keep intact. Because if we can't feel good around a group of people anymore, we're being selfish, and we all have our own gifts. So we pay that honor by, honoring life, coming out here, sharing a piece of our time in our lives, and laughing and enjoying eating together. And at the same time too, we're all feeling this cold together. We're all in it like that. We're all here together, taking care for one another, and it feels right. It feels right. It feels good, and it's something that we want to continue doing. At this point.
Okay, I'm going to end the talk there because I just want to be aware of everybody's time. But yeah, if anybody wants to stay and talk or chat or have any questions, I am down for that. But thank you all for coming to my talk today. Appreciate it. Thanks.
So I have a mic so people online can hear, but if you have any questions or comments for Kaila, I'll bring it over to you. And then also out front, Kaila brought some shirts that you can purchase, and it'll directly help the people of Red Mountain. Life over lithium. Yeah. Yes. So I'll be out there on the table in a few minutes, and I can help handle purchases. So
thanks, Hannah.
Thank you so much for your talk. I learned a lot from you today. And just kind of dovetailing on the t-shirts, what else can people do who, I'm hearing about some of this for the first time. So what are some other things that people can do to help support these efforts at conservation, at stopping these projects?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's kind of the main question I wanted to hear. Yeah, just I'm supporting people of Red Mountain. So Atsa Kudaku Wainuu. When I first started going out here, it was elders. These people, they need representation. So, I have a lot of experience with that, so I wanted to bring my skill set to support these elders. Again, like I said, a lot of these people are related. Not everybody is on the same side, let's just say that, in all of these communities. So I'm just speaking for the elders that do not want these lithium mines to go through, because this is literally like their sacred grounds where they harvest their cedar, their sage, their toza. So there's roots that literally, like an Inelda Sam. So there's descendants of the people that came out of that massacre. That's who these people are. So going to People of Red Mountain, like I said, my partner is working on that website. And so there's ways to donate. You can, so like again, when the time comes for public comments, that's really what I'm here to ask you all to do. It's easy. And we set up, templates, but a lot of it is personal. Like if you like to go hiking, if you like to go to hot springs, all of, if you are a fisherman or if you hunt, if you like to go out to the Steens Mountains for let's say, nightscape, just to see the Milky Way and the stars. Because with the encroachment of land, with the encroachment of mines, that is now light pollution. You can't even see the stars. All of these are valid things that you can put into a public comment. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. I'm like, this isn't 2016 anymore at Standing Rock. Like locking ourselves to machinery is going to get us labeled as domestic terrorists, and they're going to lock us up, especially if there's like AIM members, American Indian Movement members, which is what's happening. The U.S. government hates AIM, and I've been, I'm like, we have to do this by the book. And so that is fighting, getting public comments out there. So even if you're not an Indigenous person, if you use the land, those are really valid things that you can put into a public comment. So just kind of being aware when these public comment periods open up, when we ask people to come help. That's what we're asking, just write it. Doesn't have to be long. Just why is this land important to you? for recreation. It can be all of those different things. If you are an Indigenous person, then it's really important for Indigenous people. So like coming and helping doing public comment, booth writing things. So what I've been doing is working together with Oregon Natural Desert Association and People of Red Mountain. So there's this larger coalition growing to protect the Hawaii Canyon lands. Again, though, it gets controversial. Like when I was in DC, I was only talking about my art and my connection. We were like advised not to talk about lithium mining. Like it's, like the politicians want this lithium. They want it bad. The World Economic Forum, they want the lithium. Like this is, we're talking about capitalism, right? Markets and we're fighting pipelines, but we're also fighting the rare earth mineral mining. So that's kind of the main thing right now. Again, like I said, it's gonna have to be a narrative. That's how we win these things. Jordan Cove Energy Projects, they bought off Oregon. So, they bribe, they give money to our politicians, and then the politicians don't want to talk about it. So when we were lobbying Salem, like everybody was like, this is a done deal. This pipeline is going through because the company had spent so many tens of millions of dollars on brochures that they mail out to you to like sell you. I mean, we're human beings fighting corporations, which is like the literal definition of fascism. But this is the only way we fight back is as human beings. We keep coming together, and it's basically what I was trained to do as a grassroots organizer for like 20 years. Knock on doors, talk to people, So that's kind of where we're at as artists. Like Hannah, created that beautiful design from a photograph that Kale took. Like we have to come together as creative, like kind of agents, you know what I mean? So that's why it's really important that we talk to the students and as well as teachers, and that we kind of learn to work together on how to fight corporations. I don't know how else to say this, but it's like really dire times. And I don't think the state of Oregon understands what open pit lithium mining is gonna do to the majority of the state. And again, this lithium came from like the Yellowstone explosion, so there could be lithium in Klamath and Modoc. I mean, we don't know. Like the little maps I was showing you in just this area is just where we know about. So wherever this pops up, there's a lot of rare earth minerals all over the place. Majority of them are very close to or on tribal reservation lands and native lands. So just kind of letting people know, like, we have to get ready for this. This is going to be a big one. And what I learned in DC is I'm not sure how we reformed the 1872 mining law, but that might be some research if there are students and people that want to look into this. Like, I don't know what that looks like. Kind of seems like lobbying in DC is like a big joke. I've been doing this for too long that I don't have any hope for these politicians. The only reason why we won Jordan Cove is because we came together, everybody. Indigenous people, ranchers, private property owners whose land was being threatened by eminent domain. It had to be, and Rogue Climate, I'm not on the board of now, but I was on the board of Rogue Climate when I was a legal intervener. So that's the other thing with this. And so whenever Oregon Natural Desert Association or People of Red Mountain will put out, hey, right now is a time, if you want to, you can sign up as a legal intervener. So I'm the lead plaintiff suing the state of Oregon, but I'm also a legal intervener. So I'm a part of both parts of that lawsuit. And once you're a legal intervener, then that's where we think this is gonna go to with the Goudi'ni mine, is that we're gonna have to be legal interveners. And we have to go through the whole process of doing public comments and fighting back at every single step, but we wanna be a thorn in their side of that corporation. And unfortunately, that Bureau of Land Management area, it's the Vail district, they brought over Bureau of Land Management employees from Elko, Nevada, onto the Oregon side. So they are already stacking the Bureau of Land Management with Nevadans that's a mining state. So it's scary. We have a lot of work to do. And when the time comes at each stage, we're gonna be reaching out and we're gonna need people to just show up. And that was a really long answer to your question, but thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
coming to you.
Thank you so much for all the work you do. Do you think, like with the new logo that was designed, like if that was put up really big as a mural somewhere, or something like Chip Thomas does, except with more information, that might be something to
Definitely,
do
all of it. That's why I wanted to come up here, and I'm like, I've been doing a lot, but what I was telling people of Red Mountain is that that's kind of the next thing is to put a call out to artists. That's what we did at Standing Rock, right? Like I worked in the art tent, and people just made designs, right? And then they screened them onto screens, and then the screens came to our art tent, and we just, with all the donations, just started screen printing. So having screen printing parties, get that design out there onto shirts, onto bodies, onto murals. Yeah, I mean, like when we did One Flaming Arrow, right? Like we had Damien Deneyaji's image, which is up on the Rocks box. Was that? That was a long time ago. But that was really cool, and like Native people came from all over to take their picture in front of it. It said the state of Oregon, like in green. Carly remembers. And then it said Indian land, so like Indian land. And
it was kind of a play on that state sticker that you see on people's cars with the
green heart.
with the heart in the middle of it. Sorry. So it was kind of a play on that sticker that people put on their cars with a green outline of the state of Oregon, and then inside there's like a heart.
Yeah.
And so Damien did a piece of artwork, which was the green outline of the Oregon state, and inside it said Indian land. So that's what it was. It was really powerful.
Yeah, and so it was super cool, and it was actually my brother and his crew. They actually painted it all, and so yeah, like that's what we're talking about. Like things. I mean, I think I talk about One Flaming Arrow all the time. I'm like, we need to do it again and do it right, which means get money ahead of time. Carly Smith. It was myself, Carly Smith, and Damien Deneyaji were the three main organizers for One Flaming Arrow. So it was an Indigenous art, music, and film festival. 2 weeks, we brought 26 Indigenous artists from, I don't know what the hell we were thinking, 26 Indigenous artists from across the country to Portland, and like interrupted the white noise of Portland, I think was like our statement. But we didn't raise enough money, so we got burned out. It was awesome, yeah. It was a good time. So this is up there. I'll just finish. This is, they've had Native American church ceremonies. I was up there. This site is the site that's getting dug up now. So that Gary, it was in our camp. We can't camp up there. Like it's the company. They want to arrest people. It's just gnarly. We're kind of in that place. But up until that point, we did hold ceremonies. So this is a sacred site. I personally was with the crew of guys. They built a sweat lodge. We had 2 days of sweat ceremony up there. And I pierced. I have, my blood is in that ground, literally. So, that's all I can do. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a good. Doesn't look good, but there's never been more of a time that we need to like come together and fight back. And for me, I did it. I went to art school, and then I was like, screw this art world. And then I went and canvassed and did environmental grassroots organizing for 8 years. And I realized that doesn't really work either. So now I'm kind of to figure out how to like merge all of it together. And so I ended up going back to do my master's degree at Portland State, did some teaching. But yeah, and we got out, then we did the One Flaming Arrow. That was super fun. But yeah, I ran away from the city, and that's kind of what that whole purpose of that. So I hope people read that chapter, because I talk a lot about the academic part of it. But like basically where I got to in my academic studies was like, if I keep writing and doing stuff, then the university owns it, and it's like I'm gonna have way more impact if I'm back in my homelands working with youth. So when I was the Fields Artist Fellow, that's what I did. I was working and mentoring with just youth in my community. Unfortunately, COVID, messed everything up. Like nothing's been the same since then. So, but just plugging along, keep doing what we can do in our communities. But again, I wanted people to know why I've been out in Nevada though, because it is about this. It's like I've followed my dad's prayer literally, and that's kind of how you're moved to go. I was moved to go to Standing Rock. It took me a while, but I had to figure out how to get, how does our prayer go and take you out, to places. And I needed to be out here, and these people need help. So that's what I've been doing. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask if you could put the slide up again with the name of the book and tell people, because maybe not everybody knows, that at Multnomah County Library, you can ask them to buy two books every month. So if all of us went home and put in a request for
That's
the
a
book,
great
they'd
idea.
probably buy it, but you could ask the Seattle Public Library or whatever, lots of libraries, or the PNCA library to buy this book.
Sorry, I know this is annoying. I'm trying to. Getting close. There it is. Any other questions? And I'm like so there's also there's a book for that show, The Land Carries Our Ancestors. I'm going on book tour, telling everybody to buy books. That book is beautiful, and it really gives like an equal value to all the artists in the show. And like Joy Harjo wrote she's the poet laureate, I think. Her poems in there. It's just like Jean Quick-to-See Smith did it's a really great book, and I bought a copy for my mom, and I'm really excited about it. And then there's also a book by Jeffrey Gibson that he just made that I'm into, which is called An Indigenous Present. And it's beautiful. It's a really beautiful book. It's really cool, the artist. And just to throw, props to Jeffrey Gibson. He's Choctaw, Cherokee, and he's just been selected to be the artist representing United States of America at the Venice Biennale at the Pavilion. So it's like really, really cool. And he bought my paintings, the Studis and Skoden, the cedar paddles. I don't know if people saw the show at PAM, but he bought them for his personal collection. I was like, that's awesome.
Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for coming
you.
up today. If you want a shirt, I'll meet you over there.